New time, we're back to the original time slot of 6 o'clock until 10. And we welcome you here in Jamaica and around the world. Good morning, peeps.
Good morning, Bridge Nation. You know it's your boy, Shellz.
Good morning, Bridge Nation. It's your girl, Queen Jo Jo. I want to do early morning vibes.
All right.
Yep. And yours truly, DJ Audrey.
Come on, drop that whisper. That sounds more like his.
Oh my God.
How's everybody doing? Good weekend?
Yeah, man. We give thanks, man.
Yeah, man, give thanks. And I have my cup of coffee with me. So
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
I'm getting there.
I should have known. I smelled it.
Yeah,
I was kind of looking around, but because it's black like the top of the desk, your cup, I didn't realize it was right there close to us. All right, so we're going to take care of our nation, or Bridge Nation.
Yes, sir.
I have one little experience to share with you before we get into anything else. I met Roadstar at a particular spot in Kingston. Because, Shellz, I don't know if you were here at the time, when I just kind of pulled up to her and said, hey, listen, I need a female reporter. And my name is Richie B, and she recognized me and everything, and I got her motivated, obviously. And she has been quite good since. So there was a white taxi parked where she would normally park at that particular spot in Kingston. And I pulled up beside the vehicle, assuming that it was Roadstar, the female taxi operator. And I went like, good morning! I'm going to say, a brother eased up out of the chair and said, what happens up?
Wow.
So I just said, sorry, my brother, sorry. And just take out a gear and cut. So that was my experience. Wow. On my way down. It's about time, Shellz. Look at it.
It's that time. It's your time, Richie. It is WTF. What the fact? A very interesting one here, Bridge Nation.
You take
All
this
right. So apparently, a cornflake, cornflakes, a cornflake in the shape of Illinois, the state Illinois, was sold on eBay for $1,350.
US?
What? Yes, sir. Yeah, here we're going.
Like, what?
Yeah, man. People. Oh, ain't that? Oh, wow. Look at the screen. Okay. That go for one too. Okay. So in 2008, two Virginia sisters found a cornflake that was shaped like the state of Illinois and sold it on eBay for $1,350. Monty Kerr, the owner of a trivia website from Austin, Texas, was the buyer. Big up himself. He explained that he wanted the special piece of cereal for his traveling museum. We're starting a collection of pop culture and Americana items, he told the Associated Press. We thought this was a fantastic one. So, yeah.
Them not have nothing for them.
Not a thing for
money. Richie's pointing to the head as if to say, them gone cool.
Yeah, man, that's... Wow.
But let me tell you something. If that ever get exposed to some moisture,
that me I think, well...
you think Illinois, you look for Virginia, maybe it's all Florida. So I don't know. I mean, but do they still have it?
That's a good question.
Yeah, because that's crazy. $1,350 US for one cornflake.
Cornflake.
My goodness.
Yeah,
anyway,
man.
people are doing some crazy things. Did you hear about that was, by the way, WTF?
Yes, sir.
We do it at 6:25 every weekday morning. For conversation, while we have a little time, there is the very famous quarterback in American football, Tom Brady.
All right.
Yeah, and he decided a few weeks ago that he's going to retire. Well, Tom Brady has made an announcement yesterday that he's actually returning to the game and will be playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
What?
The problem that creates, though, is that there was a gentleman, well, somebody, I don't know who it is, who decided to purchase his last NFL touchdown ball for a whopping $518,628 US.
Wow.
Now he's coming back in the game.
Wow.
It will not
So
be
it's
his
supposed
last touchdown ball like we suspect.
Oh, no.
So what the brother they're going to do?
Wow.
Him better get him have a ball for a refund. He has to get a refund.
Give me back my money.
Oh, you mean?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I don't think he's going to get back the refund.
Him have to get back his money.
That's interesting.
Lawsuit.
Wow.
Give me back my money.
Oh, you mean?
That's interesting, you know, Richie.
Yeah, it is.
You know how I think this whole thing happened, though? Football fans would have noted that over the weekend, Cristiano Ronaldo, another aging star, scored a hat-trick. And after the game, he and Tom Brady were talking. So I'm wondering if seeing what Cristiano did and maybe say, oh, hey,
maybe,
you know, maybe
maybe
have
Cristiano
more time.
say a thing to him and
Yeah, say, hey, look at me. What you mean?
Yeah,
You
get
mean you're
back in the
retired?
game. Get back in the game, son.
And make the man wasting money on
Yeah.
the last ball. Yeah.
Brady can afford to refund him, but he has to get back his money, and I'm rooting for that.
Yeah.
I mean, not to the stage of placards and so on, but man, forget back his money. 500,000 US. Yeah.
Good morning, Bridge Nation. So, it's time for update. I have an interesting update this morning. Skelly Bang gets roasted over a new song, Wop Wop. Anybody have heard the song Wop Wop?
I have heard a piece of it. And all I heard was wop, 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 wop. That's my takeaway from it.
The role of the character.
A lot of repetition in that song. Let me hear the story.
Amidst the unified roasting of Skelly by Jamaicans, their Trinidadian counterparts, reggae historian and attorney at law Wayne Chen, who co-authored the book Reggae Roots, the story of Jamaican music, has shared the link to Wap Wap, which feature upcoming artist FS, with his followers on Friday afternoon. He said, Skelly Bang in Trinidad, not what the architects, of CARICOM single market economy had in mind. So of course the video was done in Trinidad, and I think everybody was expecting this awesome, amazing, lyrical tune, but all everybody was hearing was wop wop with the scenery.
It really is an improvement on.
I have to say, fellas, I agree. I listened to the song last night and I was like, what is happening here?
Did you go like, what is happening?
I was like, this is a beautiful scenery, in Trinidad, but the song just does not match up. It was. This is not his best.
So people are assuming that he was reminiscing on when he used to get beaten as a
yes,
child.
some persons were like, I feel like he remembered when the belt go wop wop. Yes, so persons were like, this is not it, Skelly Bang, not your best song, but they were making real fun of him over Twitter.
He has had that kind of thing going on where people feel that sometimes his songs could take a little bit more lyrical. A
little bit more effort. Because somebody was asking, who wrote this song? Because they're like, this is not Skelly Bang. Somebody wrote this for him. Who wrote this for him? So they're like, nope, this is not it.
Maybe he's rewriting the rule books as far as lyrical construction is concerned.
So I say it's art.
Yeah.
We're just not woke enough.
What? Easy.
So so continuing, my brother Kanye West is in the news again. Apparently he addressed another legend in the comedy business, D.L. Hughley. Tell him, say, yo, I can afford to hurt you in an IG meltdown. So here we're going. Kanye West has broken his 1 week silence, that must be a record, and is back to his ranting as he speaks out on Kim Kardashian provoking him with her latest TikTok with Northwest and alleges that she has been keeping the children from his events, Jano. He also took time to send threats out to D.L. Hughley, whom he dragged for calling him out for stalking Kim weeks ago. Early on Sunday morning, the rapper took to Instagram to release a series of videos and posts where he threatened to hurt comedian Hughley for speaking out on his behavior in the messy divorce. And he also called out Charlamagne the God, Perez Hilton, and even Pete Davidson for allegedly taunting him about being in bed with Kim Kardashian. It gets worse, people. I told y'all before this TikTok stuff. Now my 8-year-old on here singing she fell in love with an emo girl, Kanye wrote. In the actual TikTok video, Kim, North, and her cousin were singing the Machine Gun Kelly's Emo Girl song featuring Willow Smith. Now, Kanye went on to say, leftists don't want fathers to have no say in our children's lives. He also went on to unwisely identify the school his daughter attends. I don't want my kids at that godless Sierra Canyon school. I got a voice and I'm not having this. And Perez Hilton, you still ain't answered my question. I never put my name to text to the word abuse. Don't play with my name like that. I'm a real person who wants the best for my children. Now, as it relates to what he said to D.L. Hughley, and DL is just a pawn. Yeah, I know. This is my Kanye impression. It's just a pawn. Yeah, I know. A king not supposed to address a pawn, but I address everything and find addresses. DL. So don't speak on me or my children, because I can afford to hurt you.
Yeah.
That's what Kanye said.
Yeah.
in a rant.
Put some respect on my name.
Put some respect on Kanye. But amongst the mess, though, Jojo, we were talking about it. He has some sense, especially as it relates to his daughter.
Yeah, she's 8 years old. Why are they
Kim can't take these unilateral decisions. In terms of child.
No, and I think she knows exactly what she's doing. It's her ex-husband. She knows the mental state, and she knows his personality. She knows he's going to do all that he's doing, and this will make some persons look at him like, oh, he's a horrible person or whatever. Yeah. But it's not funny when a child is involved, and I feel like persons keep poking. Keep poking a bear until the bear gets up and starts.
By the way, my years are not spelled Y-E-A-H.
I know what you're doing.
Yeah. You realize, right?
Yeah.
Right through that. If you heard me going, yeah.
So I'm hoping they get that started.
Hey, man.
I'm sure it will take some doing, but good luck with that.
Yeah,
one from us here. There is a Jamaican star who has been touted as possibly the first female Bond. Yeah. And she was a big winner on the weekend at the British Academy of Film Television Arts BAFTA Awards. Her name is Lashana Lynch, and she was named the EE Rising Star at this year's BAFTA Awards, while Western movie The Power of the Dog won Best Film. Of course, Lashana, she actually was the actress who played M16 agent Nomi in the latest Bond film, and she thanked everyone involved in her career, her supportive parents and grandparents, who she said came to London as part of the Windrush generation. You know from where? From Jamrock. She's 34 years of age. She lives in Hammersmith, and she said, I quote, "I'm grateful for a working class foundation that has taught me everything I need to know about failure, about no's and what no's mean, and how to celebrate the yeses." And so she was in a very, very good mood, having won that major award at BAFTA. Will Smith won the Leading Actor Award for his performance in King Richard, a movie that I watched too. Joanna Scanlan was named Leading Actress for her role in After Love. And a few of the other winners would include an award to Benedict Cumberbatch, accepted on his behalf for director. And there are a few others as well, but of course Lashana does it for me. So we say congratulations. This will increase her chances of getting bigger roles. And who knows? So maybe a female Bond role too. One never knows.
That would be dope.
Yeah, that would be indeed. That was
Update.
What time is it now? Time for what?
It's time for Proverb of the Day. Rainford, could you play it for me, please?
A word better than a wink for a blind horse.
One more time.
A word better than a wink for a blind horse.
A word better than a wink for a blind horse. What y'all think that means? Without looking at the paper.
See that?
You know, man, we'll be there look for the paper. So
enough time when you see the thing. A lot of times you guys don't see it. But the meaning of that proverb is use the right motivation for each person. So you cannot be winking at a blind horse. It just don't add up.
So
He's not going to
word.
see. Use a word.
I get it.
So know who you're dealing with and use the appropriate motivation for that person.
So makes a lot of sense.
Yes, makes a lot of sense.
You call that one the short and sweet.
I like that. Where's that one from?
I can't remember where. I wrote it down but forgot to write it on the paper.
It makes sense.
But it makes sense, and that's something that we should use going forward in our lives.
No problem.
Use the right motivation for each person that you come in contact with. A word better than a wink for a blind horse.
That's right.
All right. Moves on now to
pet peeve.
Let's do it.
So you know what pet peeves are, right? It's things that people do that irritates us, annoys us, and even upset us. And today's pet peeve comes from our very own Shellz.
Shellz, find another one.
Of course, and this one reached me recently too. All right, this one is like when people seemingly just don't understand the urgency that I'm in. You see me, like the rush I'm in. It sounds a little selfish, but let me explain. For my people, them will go like the bus park and them thing there. See? Recently, I have to go in at the bus park and take a public transportation. And watch that style, The bus man, see the line, see the people, them knee hurt, them everything in a pain, The man park the bus, sits in the bus, looking at us, looking at him, then come out of the bus, walking so slowly. I don't know where I'm gone. Take him sweet time, dee. Then walk on back, take him sweet time, dee. Sits back in the bus. People are say, yo, what, man? See, man? Wavy man, yeah man, think good man. Sits in the bus. That's a pet peeve. You understand me? Especially people who like, you're working with public transport and you have to deal with people every day, the customer service thing, we heard about that. People come to you, with a certain level of urgency. Just respect the urgency, man. I mean, come on, man. What did that's a pet peeve, man.
Yeah.
I remember those days.
Yeah, man, it's rough.
They have you standing on, they'll tell you that, the bus is not leaving until such and such time. It's like, okay, that's fine. But how about you let us in and let us sit down? You're standing there for like probably an hour or so. And that's not fair. People leave work, come stand up in a bus line. Let us in. We know that the bus is not going to leave at a certain time. But give us,
all the driver them move
they don't
to
care.
Just the money must stroll in them, man.
Yeah, man.
Walk
They
in
don't
the
care.
park.
That would upset me.
Yeah.
Wow.
As it does when persons involved in public transportation stop like anywhere on the road and pick up passengers. When buses when they're not at the bus stops and
Yes.
so, or maybe a taxi bridge or assistant just decide that man, I'm past that one day,
And I'm not giving an indication.
Random.
Just
No
stop
indication,
random.
yeah. So if you're not careful, you'll have an accident.
Yeah.
These are things that upset many people, including ourselves. Thanks for putting that one forward.
man.
When you started talking about it, I was wondering whether or not the person bore in front of you at your favorite place, Cargasm.
Oh, wow.
That is what I thought you were
No,
coming
you
with.
see, it's a cargasm. You're not for wait,
Oh my God.
You're not for wait to go cargasm.
You're not for wait.
You get through quick.
Quick.
Okay.
You know what? That was already.
So last Thursday, opposition spokesperson on finance, Julian Robinson, made his contribution to the 2022-2023 budget debate. Mr. Robinson shared that his concern is that the current budget will not adequately address the economic fallout and the rising inequality that have worsened since the onset of the COVID-19 virus. And he went on to share from a recent study which showed that 45% of households have had to cut back on food because they simply cannot afford it. There are a number of points that Julian Robinson made that's of interest to us here on the bridge, and I'm sure of interest to our listeners also. And so at this time, we welcome Julian Robinson to Up and Go. Morning, Mr. Robinson.
Morning, Mr. Robinson.
Morning, Richie, and morning to your listeners.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm also joined by Shellz, who is a member of my team here.
Morning, Mr. Robinson.
Morning to you.
So you have made your presentation, Julian. What would you say were the major points of disagreement with the budget as presented by our finance minister?
I think what more needs to be done to protect the most vulnerable, particularly in a time when we're seeing what I would characterize as a cost of living crisis. Even before the Russian-Ukraine war, prices of basic commodities have risen by about 40, 50, 30% over the last year. We're now into the Ukraine war, where you're seeing oil prices as high as $120 per barrel, and that is going to have a trigger-on effect throughout the entire economy. Russia and the Ukraine account for 25% of wheat production. You're going to see increases in wheat, which means increases in flour, which means increases in all baked products. We're seeing increases in animal feed. We're seeing increases in fertilizer. All of these things mean that there are going to be further price increases throughout the economy, particularly at a time when we haven't fully recovered from COVID. So if you ask me what I think the government could do differently, is to re-examine the expenditures, look at what can be done to cushion the burden, particularly of high oil prices and high food prices, and put in place something in that regard. The government has announced something so far. I don't believe it is going to be sufficient to deal with the pressures that people are facing, and I think more could be done to alleviate some of those pressures.
You're making reference to the reprieve in relation to transportation or fuel?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Well, he has announced a $2 billion program. We don't know the details, and he has indicated that he'll come back and outline those details. But we know, for example, gas prices have risen by 60% over the last year. Now, obviously, that is going to have a trigger-on effect, not just on motorists, but on the general cost of doing business in the country, because businesses won't be able to absorb the full extent of those increases and will pass them on to consumers. So you're likely to see in the coming weeks, and depending on how long the Russia-Ukraine war lasts, you're going to see further price increases, which will put a further burden on a public where many persons have not fully recovered from COVID, and are just getting back on their feet, having been in the COVID pandemic for 2 years.
If the price for oil continues to increase, as we suspect it will, though, can the budget hold? What might be the possibilities if we continue to see these increases in oil prices on our budget?
Well, the impact, you're going to have an impact on the budget in two ways. The government earns more revenues the higher oil prices are. So that is a positive impact, but it also increases the demand for foreign exchange because you need foreign exchange to buy oil. It is going to impact your current accounts and your balance of payments. But the biggest impact is that consumers will feel it, one, at the pump, but as I said, in every other good and service. Because remember, when oil goes up, it's not just gas, it's electricity. So any business which has a heavy component of transportation or electricity will end up, they can probably try to absorb some of the costs, but they're going to have to pass it on. So ultimately, I think consumers are going to be in for a very difficult period in the short term. And while I'm not an expert on the issues in the Ukraine and Russia, I don't see a resolution in the short term. So I would say in the next 3 to 6 months, we are going to continue to see these price rises. And that is what I believe more can be done to protect the very vulnerable consumers against that.
Yes, sir. Mr. Robinson, you shared your disappointment in the minimum wage increase. In light of the financial constraint that most businesses are facing, do you believe it is fair to ask these employers to fund this increase?
Well, let me put it another way. When you look at $9,000, and I broke down what $9,000 could do, right? It cannot buy food, it cannot deal with transportation, and if somebody has 1 or 2 children, it can't send them to school. So you also have to, I'm cognizant of the pressures that employers face, and one of the recommendations I made, for example, many households have a household helper who probably works 5 days a week. If you can't afford a new minimum wage, you could say, all right, let's employ her for 4 days and give her an extra day where she may freelance and can do a day's work and earn the money. But if you break down the $9,000, it cannot meet the basic needs of a single mother with even 1 child. Sending that child to school, taking bus or taxi, cannot meet the basic needs.
A lot of us, when we listen to the finance minister year in, year out doing the budget presentation, we listen to hear whether or not there'll be any new taxes added on, right? And very often the ministers of finance sort of almost boastfully declare when they can that there will be no new taxes. And that was what we heard from the minister this year. But you kind of knocked it down by dismissing that announcement. Explain why.
Well, there are no new tax measures, and he is correct in that regard. But as I said, as oil prices increase, the government takes in more revenues because one aspect of the gas tax is what is called an ad valorem component, which is a variable rate tax. So as gas prices increase, the government rakes in more. So the government benefits from the one hand of increased oil prices, so that's a benefit. And also, if the prices of general goods and services in the economy increase, you also have the increase in the consumption tax because you're earning more on a higher amount. Now, yes, the government has its own expenses, which there would be an offset of, but there is generally, in an environment of higher oil prices, you will see the government collecting more revenues.
What is the issue that you have, Julian, with the possible divestment of the JPSCO?
Well, let me tell you why. So just to give background, JPS is already 80% owned by private investors. East-West and Maribeni own 40% each. So the government of Jamaica holds a minority 20%. Now, we view JPS as a critical infrastructure and a strategic asset in the country. JPS is the sole transmitter and distributor of electricity throughout the country. And electricity is such an important component in business competitiveness and also in the cost of living in Jamaica. The 20% allows the government to have 2 members on the board and allows the government some say in the strategic direction of JPS. We believe it is important, particularly as we face a possible energy crisis where oil prices are at record high levels. We don't know how long they're going to be. we believe it's important that the government maintains that stake so you can continue to provide the direction for JPS so that JPS acts in the best interest of the country. If you fully divest it and sell the 20% to private hands only have one interest, which is to maximize profits. And I don't have an issue with that. But where you have a single provider of transmission and distribution, the government must retain a stake because you need to guide JPS. Your voice must be heard. Jamaica has a particular problem with electricity theft, which accounts for 20% of the losses, which, by the way, is passed on to paying customers. The government has a responsibility to ensure that more is done to prevent electricity theft and put people in a position where they can buy their house and get a legal connection. So having an ownership stake keeps you in the game. I believe if we divest it fully, we're going to be at the mercy of external private hands that only is concerned about making the most profit.
Wow. Mr. Robinson, you also shared or expressed, disappointment in, findings, in a report of students leaving school illiterate. What do you think is the solution of this, to the state of, our current education system?
Well, I made 2 points. The Patterson report, Orlando Patterson report has been done. I expected to see in the budget something to begin that process of transformation. And what I mean is you need to assemble a team of experts in the education sector who will look at the report, determine how we implement. We are not short of recommendations because, frankly, we have had reports like this in the past, and they say the same thing. Where we lag is having the will to follow through on the implementation and ensure the transformation. So I thought the budget would at least have something in there to begin that process. Now, the report calls for additional expenditures of about $2 to $3 billion a year. Now, we may not start that in the next financial year, but you must at least start the process. So that means pulling together either a secretariat or whatever you want to call it, and I didn't see that. So that really was my disappointment. But I also felt that given the challenges that we have faced over the last 2 years with the learning loss, that the government should focus on trying to deal with that issue versus the implementation of the sixth form program. I believe it is vitally important that the students who have been out of school, we put in a remedial program which allows them to catch up. And I think it's going to be difficult for the ministry to try and manage 2 major projects at the same time. And I believe something is going to suffer. And from all the information I have, the remedial program is not going the way that the government thinks it is. Many of the schools have not done diagnostic tests on the students to determine even where they are and what the level of learning loss is, much less to implement a solution. So I think all our resources, both human and financial, should be focused in that area.
All right. I have been told that the finance minister from time to time listens to us here on this program, and he might just be listening right now, Julian. Before you go, you know that he closes the debate another couple of maybe weeks from now. But what's your message to Nigel Clarke this morning in closing?
Well, we look forward to hearing, the details of what he has proposed. I would say I believe more has to be done given the pressures of the cost of living crisis on so many Jamaicans, not just what you might consider to be the poor and the vulnerable, but the working class and the middle class. So I think he needs to look again at the budget numbers, look at where changes can be made to accommodate the crisis that I believe we are entering as a very import-dependent economy, and make adjustments in that regard. Let us not wait until the full effect of the Russia-Ukraine crisis hit us before we adjust. Let us be proactive, let's anticipate it, and certainly from all the indicators in the short term, we're going to be faced with higher oil prices and higher food prices. So let's put in a buffer to allow people to see themselves through this difficult period.
Julian Robinson, always wonderful talking with you. Thank you so much, and have a good day today.
Thank you, and good morning to your listeners.
Much appreciated.
Yes, sir.
A chat there with Member of Parliament for South East St. Andrew and Opposition Spokesman on Finance, Planning and the Public Service. That was Julian J. Robinson.
It's time for Tech This. This is where we highlight various technological advancements all over the world, and this one is no different. Now, people, you heard about smartphones. You heard about smart watches. May I tell you about smart glasses? But what if I told you that there is a smart bath? Yeah, man, a smart bathing system. Well, our friends over at Kohler, they have something called the Perfect Fill Smart Bathing System. Now, personally, Bridge Nation, I'm a shower person, but having a nice soak in a bath after a busy day at the office sounds peaceful. However, lots of people get distracted while preparing the bath. You know, leaving the water running, then they rush, go attend to another issue or another matter, and then suddenly the whole of your bathroom flood. Your bathtub's overflowing. Well, the brilliant minds at Kohler have decided to make unwinding at home even easier with the Perfect Fill Smart Bathing System. Now, Perfect Fill is a drain kit system that lets you preset a bath to your ideal temperature and depth. You can automatically fill your bath to suit your specific needs using a voice command or via the Kohler Connect app. This system consists of the Perfect Fill Drain Kit and the Perfect Fill Overflow, also with the digital valve/controller. You'll also, of course, need a Kohler bath and spout to make this futuristic experience a reality in your home. The starting price just for the Perfect Fill products are at $2,700 US. But can also be a bit more pricey, depending on your style, when it comes to finishes and designs. Now, customers, my friends out there, my rich friend them out there, if you are interested in this, you can begin placing orders in October of this year. So that is the Perfect Fill Smart Bathing System. Fill up your bathtub automatically, Richard.
Perfect Fill.
Yeah, man.
Give it a year if you're not in a rush, and you might get it for half price, half the price if you put out there for right now.
Yeah,
but
man.
Yeah, they're thinking of some things that are helpful.
Yep.
The price doesn't sound too right though. Tell you the honest truth.
I mean, it sets the temperature and the depth. I don't know. I'm not a bath
Sounds
person.
like it's an investment that you'd make.
No, I'm not a bath person. Maybe even a smart shower or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something about baths just don't sit right with me.
All right. Good luck to Cola on this one.
Yeah.
And that was
Tech This.
It's now time for the Secret Sound Game. This has been running for a couple of weeks now. I'm beginning to feel kind of bad for my listeners. Not everyone shares that view because some feel that the longer it takes to win, for you to win, listeners, it's the closer that gift basket is going to go to.
More.
I don't think I need to identify who has wishes for this basket. But right now, it's time to take some calls for the Secret Sound Game. Good morning on 876-676-4996. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Angela.
Angie.
How are you today, Angie?
I'm good.
All right. Phone is cracking up a little bit down there in Clarendon is where you find her. Nice having you on the program. How was your weekend?
My weekend was good.
Is this Angela, by the way?
Angie.
Angie.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. No problem. So, do you want to hear the secret sound, or do you think you already have it down pat?
Okay, let me hear it again.
No problem, Angie. Let's listen. That's the sound that we ask you to identify. What do you think it is?
It sounds like some papers.
Paper?
Yes.
You mean like what? Being crushed or something? Explain what you mean.
Papers being crushed up.
Oh. If I had given her the last clue that we have come up with, maybe should have changed. Yeah, I'm going to give you a clue. We've already given you 2 clues. Remind them of those 2 clues.
All right, Angie and listeners. So the clues so far, it's not an animal. It is an action. And the new clue is that it's green. Yes, it is green. The color green. So try it.
3 clues we've now given you. It's not an animal. It's an action. And it is green.
So I'm going to know about green paper, Angie. So you want to work with that?
Think about it and try again, Angie.
Okay.
All right. Oh, boy. Secret Sound Game. More callers. Still no winners. Let's find out what's happening right now. Good morning. Dennis, how you doing, sir? Everything good. You heard the clues?
Yes, but you want no bossy. You know what I'm going to get me a charge, you do. Yeah, me a charge bossy. But I'm not so talking about that. You want no bossy. But they have an answer, but I'm going to change the answer then.
Right.
Because I'm here great.
All right.
You know what I'm coming like somebody a limb off a tree and the tree then when the tree when limb them drop.
What you say? What you say?
Yeah, man, it's coming like somebody a limb off a tree and the tree then drop. And the leaf and the limb never drop.
What do you mean by limb off a tree, brother?
No, man, somebody a chop off some limb off a tree then, man.
Chop off?
Man, you're a countryman like myself.
Chop off some limb off a tree?
Yes, boss, man.
You need to focus on your answer, you know. What you say a while ago?
Big man, don't distract me, Dan. Me I tell you, say, it's so like I'm on a limb off a tree, me Dan.
And when you say limb off a tree, you mean what?
It chop off a tree, and man, them drop a ground.
Yo, Dennis!
Mwah, mwah, mwah.
That's what you said. Let's quickly take one more call. Easy, me done. Let's go to our final call. Good morning. You're on the air in the Secret Sound game. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I am coming up with an answer.
All right.
No problem. Let's hear it. What's your answer?
It's like a game of domino.
Dominoes.
Yes.
Like it a shuffle.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you make a slap, you know, when you like to win the game and you boom.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Hey, man. Yeah.
What's your name, sir?
Christopher.
Where are you calling from?
Well, I'm in the Alpha tree right now, you know.
All right.
We have never had that answer before, Christopher. You waited until the 14th of March to deliver it.
Hey.
And now, here's the sound you get.
Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Have a good day. Thanks for trying.
All right, big man. Big up myself and big up Mr. Fear, you know? Mr. Fear.
All right, have no fear. Mr. Fear, I'm calling.
Mr. Fear.
Okay, Halfway Tree Crew, big respects every time. All the motorists out there, all the traffic peeps. I have more reports coming up in a short while from now. That was the Secret Sound game for today, Monday, the 14th of March. Hey, Shellz, I saw a report coming out on the weekend where the head of the CEO of Pfizer has now made a statement. Listen to what he is actually saying. Him say, we will need to get a fourth COVID-19 vaccine dose if we want to have full protection from the virus. That is what Albert Bourla said on the weekend during an interview on one of the popular television programs. He says the regimen of 2 initial doses plus a booster is not able to protect against variants, and it actually wanes too quickly in strength. And as such, he is recommending that we go beyond that third, which is the booster shot, and get a fourth.
Wow.
We had made this prediction right here on this program, and now it is coming to fruition.
Oh, boy. Well, I mean, at this point in time, you know, it is what it is. You know what I mean? If that's what he thinks, then sure.
Yeah.
Just Pfizer, though.
Just Pfizer. And I'm wondering if, you know, like, does he go and says, okay, if I do this, 5-7 billion more in the next 3 months, you know, let's do the math. I'm kind of wondering if that is anywhere in the consideration of Mr. Bourla. But no, it's not. It's gone beyond a third shot to fourth.
So tell me something, Richie. We're gonna need a fifth shot. So
I would not be surprised.
I was gonna say, COVID
I would
there.
not be surprised. And I'm not want to be a naysayer or predicting any doom and gloom or anything, but let's just hope that there's no other variant that pops up soon that we might have to get maybe my sixth.
Oh, boy.
At the rate the money will go.
Oh, boy.
Right now we're standing by for our guest, if you're wondering. Valrie Kemp-Davis is going to be our guest. She's an author. And I was doing a little reading on Valerie. She's into culturally conscious, multicultural and anti-bias books, books that celebrate children from around the globe. We understand that Valerie believes in the tradition of the storyteller and, in fact, loves to record history while telling her stories in a contemporary and clever, very often a relevant manner. Shellz, you'll be aware, too, that she's the creator of the cultural platform, the One Love Project. And she has been crafting stories to bridge the gap between others, thereby advocating cultural diversity and topics like tolerance and inclusion amongst the children of the diaspora are covered in her books, and she teaches self-love and respect for others. What have you picked up about her yourself?
Well, we picked up the vibes that she's going to bring for us today. She's here to tell us about her book, which is a commemorative edition of the Jamaica ABCs, written by her and illustrated by Michael Talbot. You know, it has been released to honor the land of wood and waters, landmarks, history, heroes, heroines, and icons past and present. It is a beautifully crafted gift for millennials and Gen Z youth as Jamaica prepares to celebrate 60 years of independence.
All right. So having said all of that, you know that it's quite an interesting person to have on the program, Valrie Kemp-Davis. Do we have her? Oh, she's here. Good morning, Valerie.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you all this morning?
We're great. How are you doing?
I'm fine. That was an excellent introduction.
We try.
Yeah, we did our research, obviously, right, Valerie? And we thought...
Yes, I feel like I don't even have to be interviewed now.
but we will talk with you because there's more that you have to say. And I want to take you to the very beginning. Tell us a little bit about your journey in becoming an author. How did it all get started?
Well, it started because when I became a mother, I decided that I really wanted my children to be intellectually astute and to have very good books in their lives like I had. My mother was an English teacher, and she had a lot of different books, a variation of authors in my life. We had a library in my home, and I was a very voracious reader. So as I was looking for books to speak to my children, because representation matters, I really didn't see the story about the Jamaican, as we call it here, where there was a coalition of the African American and the Jamaican child in one. There was no reading materials to speak to that. And since I have always been a writer, I attempted to begin writing stories so I could read to my daughter. And then I had another daughter. And what happened was it just kind of bridged out to me reading to their friends. And I realized at some point that the story was bigger than my children because I lived in a community where it was a lot of blacks and browns, meaning Mexican, Puerto Rican. And I saw that we are the diaspora have a deficit in our reading materials that represent us. And I said, we all came through the transatlantic slave trade, and I need to broaden this perspective that I have in terms of addressing children. And so thus the journey began.
You know, we spoke a while ago on air about the kinds of stuff that that you like to put in your books, you know, and what you advocate for and so on. I mean, what was that how it was for you from the very beginning, or have you kind of morphed into what you're doing now along those lines?
Well, from the very beginning, I was very intentional in terms of what I wanted to see in the book. And then it took a life of its own where I saw that it would go beyond the book, where I needed to have platforms where it would come to life, where I could actually let my voice be heard to help children find their voices. And so that's how I began the One Love Project. And I came back with an educator out of London, who is originally from Portland, Nikisha Henry, shout out to her. And we decided we would do an Afiri Culture Project program the summer of 2018. So when you write, it seems like the writing takes on a life of itself. It kind of moves you in terms of what you see in the culture and what you need to address. And if you're a person that's really spiritual like I am, you pray about things and you just kind of seek the creator to show you what you need to do next for your steps to be ordered.
Wow, very well said, Valerie. First of all, I'd like to say thank you, for, just pushing the culture, not just the culture, overseas, but for the diaspora, for us out here to see that, hey, our culture is going out there and being represented well, especially for the children. I really appreciate that. You mentioned briefly the One Love Project, Can you elaborate a bit more on it? What is the aim? What are the aims you guys have?
So the aim for the One Love Project, again, is about representation. And right now, especially in where we are here in America, but that's not just in America, it seems where people of color around the world, there is an oppression and depression in terms of how our self-imaging is and how people perceive us. And so I wanted to say to the children of color that you are good, that you are worthy, that you have value, and that you need to appreciate other people's culture because, there gets to be this competition. Africans don't like African Americans. Puerto Ricans don't like Mexicans. Maybe one Caribbean country despises the other one. And what is that for? So it was to try to bridge the gap between us where we have issues with colorism and self-imaging and self-hate. And so what I did was put together a curriculum where we discussed what culture was, what it sounds like, what it looks like, what it feels like, what it smells like, your belief, your culture, and then also to have them to understand what protesting is, because a lot of children may have not at this juncture when they're younger been involved in a protest. So we had, I created rhythmic cadences. I had all kind of flags from all kind of countries. And it was also for others who are not necessarily melanated to see the beauty of us and to also appreciate, because see, when others understand you, sometimes, not always, they might change their perception of what they're doing, that what they're doing is not quite right, no matter what they've been taught. And the younger that you can get children to be exposed to correct thinking, tolerance, inclusion, the better it is for the society at whole as they grow older.
Valerie, I want us now to talk a little bit about your most recent book, which is Jamaican ABCs. Tell us what inspired you to write this book and what's been the feedback like so far.
So originally I wrote the initial book in 2017 and I launched it in August Town under the auspices of Sizzler Youth Foundation at the 179th Emancipation Day celebration. And at that time, it was really received well. At the time, the Minister of Education really gave great reviews. And it was also endorsed by then the Minister of Finance, which was the Honorable Favor Williams, who's, of course, now your Minister of Education. And I decided 5 years later that there had been some updates and some things that I really wanted to honor out of Jamaica. So one of the things that was very amazing for people of color in America and Jamaicans, Southeast Asians and the like, was that we had our first female vice president, and she was someone from the diaspora. And I said, this is a great opportunity now, especially coming into the 60th year of independence of Jamaica from the powers to be back in the day, that we really, really need to commemorate what's going on now. So there have been some updates where we honored the ladies, I call them the quadruples, who really took Tokyo by storm in 2021 for the 2020 Olympics. Looked at Kamala Harris, Coffee, being so young and really taking the world by a storm with her music. And so it was to again remind children that you don't have to assimilate, you don't have to appropriate, you don't have to be spiritually and intellectually impoverished. You should have cultural pride, and you should understand that your voice and your culture matters, because a lot of times you see, children who don't understand what Marcus Garvey said, that are people without knowledge of their past, history, or origin, or culture, is like a tree without roots. And I wanted to remind again, and I thought that this was the most appropriate time and season to put this book forth again, but with a fresh, a fresh face and a fresh perspective of what's going on in Jamaica now.
We really want to commend you on this effort and wish you all the best going forward. For persons who would like to purchase the book, where can they do so?
So they can go online. The book is on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Booktopia, and Walmart.com. And I would suggest that they do comparison shopping because in some locations it's cheaper than other places. And I'm hoping to bring it back into Jamaica when I come down in August. It was previously in the Institute of Jamaica and in other locations, and I'm hoping to expand where it could be in brick and mortar.
We just saw on our screens what looked like the front cover, and I think your illustrator, Michael Talbot, did a very good job.
Wow.
Commendations to him as well.
Yes, I'm very pleased with him. I tell you, he has really did a tremendous job, and I'm just so happy in terms of his interpretation of what I had in my heart and my mind.
Valrie Kemp-Davis, great talking with you. Best wishes going forward. We definitely hope to put our hands on a copy of this for ourselves soon. Take care and all the best.
Thank you. You all have an awesome day.
Thank you.
Chat there with Valrie Kemp-Davis, the author of the book Jamaican
Mississippi ABCs.
That's right.
She mentioned, to do comparative shopping. She know a Jamaican she talk to. That's like a part of the. You never have to tell me that. I'm gonna do that.
Oh. I wonder what it's like in New York City at this time of the morning.
I wonder.
DJ Roy can tell us as he says, morning.
Jam exclusive.
This is an Irie Jam exclusive. Bridge 99 on Irie Jam Radio. It is an Irie Jam exclusive. Morning.
You just took all the credit, brother. What's up, Roy?
Give thanks, DJ.
Everything's great, man. Everything's great, man. And all I'm gonna say is, Shellz.
Yes, sir.
That fresh statement there. Me don't know if you talk about anybody in the room.
Never.
Richie.
Yo.
Richie, I don't want you to feel like I don't wake up with the eye,
No, we know the thing going on. We know the times that you exercise and what you normally keeps in your ears when you're exercising.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but the man, come on, say people must hold fresh.
Yeah, and I kind of like it because sometimes you roll out to your bed and you feel like you don't want to do no work, you feel like you don't want to go to school. That fresh there, but I'm like with you, Richie.
Yeah.
Me used to be at that river at Frankfield.
See it?
So them cold water there, work with old people. Big people like me now go work.
Trust me, brethren. And we have done so much of that back in the day. I think we did enough. So we can move on now. What is it?
Yeah, man. Water eat after the plug-in.
Yeah, but in all honesty, when he started mentioning it, we never so like it, and then we say, but it's not so bad after all.
No. Him not throw no call and no call.
Yeah, exactly. As everybody start look around and say, who Shellz attack? And who myself go hold a fresh God? I wonder if it's me. All that he was saying, listeners, if you've missed it, is that having a shower or holding a fresh can really change your mood and put you in a really good mood, right?
Yes, sir.
Did I misinterpret your statement?
Not at all.
All right. All right, so is it a heavily trafficked morning in New York City like at this time of the morning, Roy?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the rush hour kind of slows down after 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Because most people try to get to work before 9. So it slows down a little, but there's still traffic, especially if you're going into the city. So those on the LIE, those on the Southern State, those on the I-95 North, they all experience traffic. But you're at the back of the traffic jam going into the city. But there's still a little traffic.
Okay,
so
all right. So we welcome our listeners in the tri-state area here in Jamaica and all over the world. It's a new time. We're now back to original start time, which is 6 o'clock. It takes a little getting used to, doesn't it?
Oh, yes.
It takes
I guess that's why the fresh thing come up.
Thank you.
That's how the cold shower come up this morning.
You see it now. You see the vibes now. There it is.
The connection has been made.
Yes.
So, Richie, we got our guests?
Yeah, we got our guests. In fact, we have two guests that are joining us at this time. And when we're talking about stuff like this, the more the merrier. The truth is we'll be having Chris Stokes, and we'll also be joined by Jazimine Victorian. as our guest. Now, the Jamaican bobsleigh team qualified for the Beijing Winter Olympics for the first time in 24 years. Jamaica first competed in bobsleigh at the Calgary 1988 Olympic Games, inspiring the iconic Cool Runnings film and generations of athletes to come. Since then, Jamaica has had at least one men's sled at 8 straight games from 1988 to 2002, also qualifying for the Sochi 2014 games. And this morning we're pleased to be joined by, as we mentioned, Chris Stokes, the Jamaican Olympian athlete and president of the Jamaica Bobsleigh Federation. And also with us is Jazimine, Victorian, a bobsledder. Good morning, lady and gentlemen. How are we today?
Richie B, man. Morning.
Hi, Chris. All is well?
How you doing?
Not too bad, my bro. And you'll see beside me here is Shellz.
Morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Great to have you. And good morning to you,
And
Jazimine.
Jazimine, hi. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure.
All right. Chris, there's so much that we want to be talking about. First of all, congratulations. What was your reaction when you found out that we had qualified for the Beijing Winter Olympics Games for 2021?
Okay, just give me a moment before I answer that, Richard.
Yes.
Let me start by saying we have a way in this country where, you know, we produce so much talent and everybody does in the yard, and you tend to not understand who you are beside and who you are with. And I want to just take a moment to recognize you, Richie B, as a world-class host and DJ and radio personality.
Thank
I
you.
know you don't like them kind of things there, but I travel a lot, and what you do and have been doing for so long needs to be recognized. So just permit me that. You can cuss me afterwards.
No, I won't. Thank you, my brother. We appreciate that.
And my brethren Bobby Clark, you know, go back a long way. You know, I am vow to secrecy on many things, but so proud of him and the work that you're doing. And I'm taking in my radio before too long to get fixed because it seems to be stuck on the bridge.
Wow. We love that.
Nothing wrong with the radio, man.
We love that, Chris. Thank you, man. We appreciate that.
So yeah, man. So don't. And thank you very much. And you know, this is the one program that I asked Bobby before I went to the Beijing that I wanted to be on. And now the game's done some weeks ago, and I'm just not getting on. But that's another matter. But listen, it was a culmination of a lot of work that was not guaranteed. In other words, you don't have to qualify. They don't give away the positions. There are 50-something countries in the sport of bobsleigh. They're taking, I believe it, and Jazimine, correct me if I'm wrong here, 16 to the women and 19 to the men countries. And Jamaica is on that list. I mean, let's just stop there for half a second, right?
Yeah.
And we're on the list with countries, like when I was watching the 4-man or the 2-woman, the monobob that Jazimine was in. And this is Jazimine's 3rd Olympics. Jazimine is in 19th position, and in 17th position is Jamaica, who was a gold medalist from Pyeongchang.
Yep, gold medalist.
Right? So it's a very, very extremely competitive sport, and we discharged our duty to get the teams qualified against the odds. We went there and performed creditably, and we continue on the plan, which is to go back stronger in 26 and to vie for medals in 30. So we're on track. I don't say it's all up, but we're on track.
Yes. The world stood up and took note of what we were doing, and many people expressed surprise at the fact that we don't have snow in Jamaica, yet still we managed to qualify for these games. Explain to our listeners, if you will, Chris, what the process was like in terms of becoming qualified for the Winter Olympics. Take us through that process.
All right, and again, Jazimine, let me show you the same thing here. So there's some they have the basic Jamaica rule, which is that you have to do 5 races on 3 tracks over 2 years. That is because we just went to the first Olympic Games and showed up everybody and they said, okay, we can't have this. So they worked on some much stricter qualification rules. After that, though, there's a quota system where they have a certain number of teams getting 2 sleds, countries getting 3 sleds, a certain number getting 2, and a certain number getting 1, for a maximum of 20 sleds in the 2-woman event, both the mono and the 2-woman, and 30 sleds in the 2-man and the 4-man. so you have to earn your points, and you earn your points in your top, your best 7 races during the season. And we did 8 tracks. What was it? 16 races in 8 weeks.
Wow.
That's correct.
16 races. So it was horrendous. But we did it. You know, bigger countries with snow, to the extent that is relevant, we're not able to do it. But we were able to do it, and we got the points and to qualify to go to the Olympics, and that's out of the framework. Richie B, that's how we
remarkable stuff.
Nice. Jazimine, my question is for you. Share your experience, like, you know, being a bobsledder, you know, and can you explain the monobob? I guess the first time I'm hearing that. You know, what is that like?
Yeah, so let me start with monobob. It was the inaugural Olympics, meaning the first time this event has ever made an appearance. So big up to Team Jamaica to qualify. That's huge when it's the first time for that event. This event was brought on to help with gender equality across the Olympic Games, to make sure there was closer to a 50-50 split of participation in the Olympics. And it's one person. So the pilot is the push athlete, pushing from the back, hopping all the way to the front and driving the sled down as fast as possible. The sled weighs almost the same as the 2-person sled, so it does create its challenges, but at the same time, you don't have the weight in the back that creates stability. So it's definitely a finesse skill set sport, and all of the equipment is standardized. So it really does take the guesswork out of a few things and equals the playing field a lot more.
Right. So, sorry, go ahead. No, sorry. Finish your point.
What it means to be a bobsledder, you got to have some thick skin, no pun intended with the frigid weather, but you really have to have some thick skin, and you really have to have grit. There's no room for error really as a bobsled pilot. Errors cost you races cost you qualification, and it can also cost you your equipment. The equipment is very expensive. So you're being critiqued every day by your coaching staff to be the best of the best, and you have to have thick skin and not take it personal and just grind to be the best of the best.
I think it's so amazing to be able to say that this isn't your first rodeo. You know you've been at it 3-time Olympian. You know, congrats there. Can you say, were you satisfied with the results this time around?
I'm going to quote Sir Stokes here. One of his many, many pep talks to the team was, if anyone's satisfied here, they shouldn't be on the team moving forward.
Nice.
And that's no shade on any one of us. That's just the reality. We go into competition regardless of circumstances to win, period. I stood at the line at the Olympics going out there to win. Now, the reality of the situation, where I am physically, where my mind's at, my preparation, those are different variables that can affect me winning, but my mentality is to go out there and win. I'm definitely not satisfied with the result, but what I'm most proud of is the impact that I was able to make representing Team Jamaica, the impact I was able to make sharing my story of how I got to these Olympics. And if I'm going to be 100% honest, I really didn't think I would be going, namely because weeks before my sister unexpectedly passed away. So I was potentially opting to sit it out, but I chose to go. So I'm most proud of those accomplishments and what we're able to do to bring in new talent so that we can podium in the future, the near future.
Beautiful.
Our condolences to you and your family, and we are so much more inspired by what you have been able to do, even amidst those challenges of losing a family member so close to you. Chris, I know that in the past you have had challenges in terms of, at one point there was equipment challenges and so many other things would have maybe popped up along the route. But were you able to garner the support that you required, whether from corporate Jamaica or from other partners? Did you have any major challenges going into the previous Olympics, and are you satisfied yourself with the results that were achieved?
Right. So there's this notion that I hear in business and in sport that things should go smoothly. That is not my experience in life. My experience in life is that things are going to be very difficult, near impossible, and maybe that's a reflection of the type of goals one sets. But that's the fun part, and that's what makes achievement exceptional. You know, so you know, winter sports is a high income country sport, set of sports, and bobsleigh is among the most expensive. Bobsleigh per athlete is the most expensive sport in the world. What we have committed ourselves to do is to nurture and build our brand value, because we're not going to be like Germany and have the government pay everything, or like Canada and have the government pay 70%, or like the US and have big corporations pay 100%. That's not going to happen for us. What we have to do is make commercial deals based on the fact that our brand Jamaica, which we have simply laid a block on top of, which we came and saw, and that we helped to build. We have leveraged that for commercial arrangements, and we have persons like now my daughter Natalia Stokes, Jazimine, Rolando Reed, other folks at the business table, where we are doing multi-year deals that combining with social media that serves to leverage our brand that delivers value to our partners. So what we have now are partnerships, multi-year partnerships going into from one season to the next. So actually, Richie B, the business side of Jamaica bobsleigh is as big as the sports side, and simply because we need to feed the monster, right?
Yeah.
And I brought up on charges by Audra Segri, who is my adopted daughter and on the team, that I need to spend more time on sports and less on business. But you got to pay the piper. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's also how that works.
I should also tell you that DJ Roy from Irie Jam Radio in New York is allowed us to be heard all across the tri-state area, and he's in on the conversation. I can hear him thinking out this question, whether or not with the success of Cool Runnings, will we be having a part 2 to that movie or anything like that? Any deal that you can share with us? Roy, you want to know that, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I saw the challenges in the movie just for funding, and being around Bobby Clark, that's what Bobby is all about: finding funding, making sure that not just Bridge Nation but Irie Jam Radio stays afloat. So I know it must be challenging, but what can we do here in the corporate era, in the tri-state era, in the diaspora, to help facilitate and help you with your cause?
So we would not have a Jamaica bobsleigh program today if it were not for Erwin Clear. And
okay.
And I think you can replace the first half of that sentence for any number of things. Mm-hmm. Blah blah blah. If it were not for Erwin Clear, he has been a link, a bedrock, a bridge for us into the diaspora community, which, by the way, from which Jazimine comes. So it's interesting in talking with Jazimine, the pride that I see in her eyes in representing Jamaica. It's something that those of us who here and in the struggle every day don't understand how proud folks in the diaspora are. So
yes,
we have done a lot of work there. We will continue to do work there. We're going to double down on that. We're going to visit over the summer. But Bobby is a friend, Erwin is a friend and advisor, and we're working with both of them to see how we can deepen those relationships.
Oh, fantastic.
And of course, about Team Jamaica, Big and so on. So, we're talking to the right people.
Great. Right. We got the wrap-up signal several minutes ago, but this is an important subject, and Chris, we had to accommodate. Yes. I don't know if the follow-up movie is going to be coming forth anytime soon, but we wait with that, and we await that announcement. But I have to tell you this, Chris, that I was getting calls out of the United States a few weeks ago, and there were many who felt that the story of the Jamaica bobsleigh team is one of the biggest stories about Jamaica, and it was the team was bringing so much positive attention to Jamaica. They felt it was maybe the biggest amount of coverage, that largest amount of coverage that anything from Jamaica has gotten in decades. And so we say congratulations to all the team. Better luck going forward, and let us know what's happening so we can tell the nation about it. All right?
Invite me, Richie B. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Great talking with you, Chris and Jazimine. Have a great day today.
You.
Take care. All the best. Wow. Well, we just have to wrap it right here, DJ Roy. I decided to substitute my music playing time just to accommodate an extended chat with Chris and Jazimine.
Yeah, man,
very important topic for us to look at. Thanks again, Roy, and you have a great day today. We catch up on Wednesday, they say, right?
All right. Same two big bad radio stations, my friends. Catch you on Wednesday.
All right, most def.
Richie B, the party master, on Up and Go, The Bridge, 99 FM.